Hey, good morning. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with the free Painkillers Challenge, day 16. Over halfway. How are you feeling today? How have you been doing with the challenges? Have you found a couple of things, or even just one thing, that's helped to reduce your chronic pain? Have you been doing the daily challenges? That's the biggest thing. If you don't give these things a chance, if you don't give them a try, if you don't open your mind and let yourself believe that some of them will help reduce your pain, guess what? None of them will work for you. I can guarantee that if you do nothing, your pain will stay the same or get worse. But if you're willing to open up and do things and look for, go on an adventure, make it an adventure that you're seeking ways to reduce your chronic pain, because only you can do it. So yesterday, Ho'oponopono. Did you try it? Did you do it? Did you put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your tummy, and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Did you do that in any way, shape, or form that worked for you? Did you do it 3 times a day? I asked you to do it 3 times a day because it takes practice. It's like anything else, any new thing. We're not born knowing how to do anything. We're not usually born in pain either, by the way. So what does that tell you? Everything we need, we have inside us already, and we learn along the way. And so this is no different. We need to learn how to control the chronic pain and the things that are going on in our body. It's up to us. So today's lesson, I don't want to talk about Ho'oponopono a whole lot. I love it. It's a great strategy. Use it when it works for you, just like the breathing, just like everything else I'm talking about. You want to have a whole bunch of things in your toolbox that you can call upon to help you when you're having a particularly bad pain day. For example, I just started using these sleep guides, or whatever they're called, because I'm always on the lookout for something that's going to make me feel better. If I can sleep or get a better night's sleep, that makes me feel better. So I'm continually improving and continually looking for things, strategies, whatever, tips, tricks, secrets that will make my life easier, make my pain less, and make me feel awesome. And I encourage you to do the same. Today is, of course, one of my favorite strategies, and I don't know exactly where I got it. I guess I've always been a person that writes things down and documents things. So today's strategy is all about notebooks and writing things down. And it doesn't have to be in notebooks. Maybe it's in just on a piece of paper. Heck, sometimes I just write stuff down on paper and on envelopes. I've been known to write things on Kleenexes and napkins and toilet paper before. If I'm somewhere and I don't want to forget something, I know I have to write it down, especially if we're taking certain medications. If you're taking certain types of medications, they totally mess with your brain and your ability to think, your cognitive behavior, your cognitive recognition, your ability to think and remember things. And I know this because I live with a bunch of pain patients that struggle with this all the time. And so you have to do things to support yourself and help yourself. My phone, for example, is full of reminders. I have timers and alarms set and reminders on my phone because I know I'm not going to remember to take my medication or my supplements on time if I don't have a physical reminder to do it. The same is true with notebooks. This is actually my notebook right now. I always am writing in notebooks. This is my notebook for this particular challenge. Every day I sit down, I write the name of the challenge on the top, and then I write a couple of notes about, well, what do I want to talk about notebooks? What's important? Well, I figure if my life is worth living, my life is worth documenting or keeping a record of or keeping track of. And guess what? No one's ever going to read these. I have tubs, literally tubs of books and notebooks, all different style notebooks. I love notebooks. I'm always buying different type fancy notebooks. And what I love is my kids do that now too. They document things. My son loves to travel, and he documents. He always takes a journal with him and documents his trips. Now, he hasn't been able to travel for a long time because he got hurt, but that's another story. It's just another thing, another way of growing and personally seeing the progress that you've made. Now, I will admit I've burnt some of my journals and my young people diaries just because I had children. I didn't necessarily want them reading what I was up to in my youth. And so I kind of regret that I burned them, but I did burn a couple of them. Just like I burnt all of the greeting cards I used to send the ex-husband. We decided when we had kids that, he had saved him. I sent him, we had a long distance relationship in the beginning. And so I sent him a greeting card every day that we weren't together. And some of them were quite funny. Some of them were quite graphic. And some of them needed to be burned when we had kids. So I think when we moved into our new house, which is the house I'm in now, we built this house, and we group decided that we would burn those. We team decided that we would burn those. But anyway, my whole point is, it's important to capture the experiences of your life, good, bad, ugly, because they always show us something we need to see. So you're probably thinking, well, Sharon, what the heck am I supposed to document? What am I supposed to write down? Well, some of the things I find most valuable to write down, I like to say everything. Well, of course, you can't write down everything, but things that are important. Now, you're obviously on a pain journey because you're listening to me right now, or somebody you know and love and care about is on a pain journey because you're listening to me. So I would think it would be important to be documenting that journey, documenting how you're feeling, documenting what things make you feel better or worse, documenting things so that you can share factual, detailed information about what's going on with you, with your doctors and caregivers and healthcare providers. It's very important because, frankly, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I've had the experience where I've gone into my doctors and they're like basically giving me the, you're full of shit, I don't believe you, there's really nothing wrong with you, it's all in your head look. And if you've gone to enough doctors, and I've been to thousands, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know when a doctor doesn't believe that you are in pain or that your pain is as severe as you're telling them that it is. They just don't believe you. And you can tell if someone believes you or not. You can tell if your friends and family believe you or not. So having documented even a little notebook like this that you take in with you and you say, well, doc, this is how I've been feeling for the last 10 days. You know, you can go ahead and read about my level and my excruciating pain and the times of day that I'm feeling the worst. Now you've got documented evidence and like a listing of when you're feeling the worst pain, where it is in your body, what you might have been doing around that time that may have or may not exacerbated your pain. Now this shows them a couple of things. Number one, it shows them that you are taking your healthcare and your body and your experience seriously, and that you expect them to do the same, and that you are documenting and keeping track of everything that's going on with you because you're trying to do whatever you can to get, I hate to say get better, but we always want to get better. Let's be honest. We always want to feel less pain. We always want to feel terrific. So yeah, you are doing whatever you can, what's in your power to alleviate your chronic pain, figure out what's really going on with you, and get better. And I've used this strategy with several doctors. And normally if I have a doctor that doesn't listen to me, I just switch doctors. I, in the past, would just switch doctors and not see those. I just went through an experience last year where I got all new service providers, all new doctors, because it was time. It was time for me to get into seeing what medicine, seeing what's changed in medicine, and if there's anything new and improved that can actually help me. So I picked all new doctors last year. And normally I would just switch doctors if I have doctors like that. But sometimes you are in a position where you don't feel that you can do that. And so this strategy will really help you with that. It's hard for doctors to argue with documentation and proof. And guess what? Your written word is documentation and proof. Your writing things down is admissible in court. So if it's good enough for the United States court system, it's good enough for your doctor. And if it's not, then it's time to change doctors. So document everything. And again, you get to decide what everything is for you. You get to decide if you just want to take notes. Now, I'll admit, when I first started on this journey, I documented a ton of things. I had this elaborate tracking sheet, and it's packed away in boxes right now, or I would have grabbed some out because, of course, I've saved them all. So I have like a couple years worth of daily tracking sheets, and I kept track of everything. I kept track of everything I ate, everything I drank, all my water consumption, all my supplements, all my medications, any exercise or activity that I did. And then also on that, I kept track of my pain levels throughout the day. So I have years worth of data that actually shows my experience through some of my worst chronic pain. Now I've gotten to the point where I don't need to do that anymore. So as far as how much do you track and what do you track, whatever you need for your journey and to help you understand yourself better. So back in the beginning, I needed to every day document in these elaborate tracking systems. Nowadays, you're fortunate enough that we've got apps for just about everything. And actually, I'm considering creating an app just for painkillers because I have probably 5 or 6 apps on my phone. I've never used any of them. And the reason I personally never use any of them is they're all focused on pain. And I think I want to create an app that is focused on health and your perfect health for you, not on your pain. Because I know if I focus on my pain, I get more of it and I hurt worse. If I focus on perfect health and my perfect health, not everybody's perfect health, my personal perfect health, I feel better. I get more of that. So comment below. Let me know what you think about that. Would something like that be helpful? And in there, we could have and tell me what you want in there. I would think in there it'd be awesome to have like a private journaling section where you can journal your thoughts and ideas and how you're feeling and keep track of that. Of course, it'd be confidential and just yours. Then maybe a health section where you're keeping track of what you're eating, what you're taking for supplements and medications, and how those are impacting you. Because one thing we don't notice as pain patients is there gets to be a point, and what the tipping point was for me with medications was when the symptoms from the drugs they were giving me for my arthritis, when those side effects got worse than the pain from my rheumatoid arthritis, I knew I had to make a change. And that's when I started on this journey of figuring things out for myself. But it's hard to know when you're in the middle of that, when you get to that tipping point, and what is actually symptoms of your disease or what's going on in your body actually versus symptoms and side effects of some of the medications that we're taking. So it's really important to document and be able to keep track of that. So anyway, my point was nowadays I don't use an elaborate system. This is my exact tracking system. This little notebook, I think I bought about 24 of them. And I know they're not neat, but this is how I track everything I eat, water, what I drink, what I do for activity. I just write it down in a little notebook now. Now, for me, this is okay because I've already spent years creating habits out of the things that I know are good for me. When I started out, I needed to write down everything because I wasn't being honest with myself in terms of what I was eating and the impact that it had on me. I mean, I was eating a lot of stuff that was super duper bad for me and my body. I mean, lots of sugar, lots of salt, lots of junk food, lots of processed food. And I wasn't being honest with myself about it. I was drinking tons of Diet Pop and tons of coffee. Again, not great for me. And I wasn't eating throughout the day. I would go all day long without eating, and then I would binge eat late at night, and then I would go to bed. And so all the stuff and habits I had that were just super bad for my body and my health culminated in me having really big health challenges, and I needed to make drastic changes that would help me keep track of what I was doing and what worked. So early on, lots of documentation, lots of detail. Apps are available now to make that super easy. I personally just think it's more time consuming, especially with my chubby thumbs, to plug in all the things that I'm eating in one of these apps than it is to just scribble it down in a notebook, because I don't need to track it. I don't need to keep track of all the numbers anymore. For example, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, calories. I don't care about any of that anymore. Actually, since my sudden cardiac arrest, I just started paying attention to sodium. And paying attention to sodium alone keeps me eating the right things, and that has worked for me. So you got to do what works for you, but you need to document it. So your challenge today is, for 24 hours, I want you to write shit down. I want you to write stuff down. I want you to, and you get to decide how much or how little you're going to write down, but make it something that is going to work for you and is actionable for you, or will show you stuff that's going on in your life that will benefit you in your chronic pain journey, and you're killing chronic pain. You know, like I said, depending on where you are in your journey, a little notebook like this or a back of an envelope might be all you need to document and write things down. And to be honest, I just write things down now to kind of hold myself accountable, because I know that if I'm going to eat those 6 sea salt caramels, I have to write it down. Now, I can do anything I want. I can eat or do or have or be or absolutely anything I want. But I also know that I'm going to write it down. And just the writing it down for me, this works for me, just the writing it down for me and knowing I have to write it down causes me to think, well, do I really need 6 sea salt caramels or do I just really need 1? And so a lot of times I'll just eat 1. But if I eat 6, I write 6 down. I don't worry about it. I move on, but I've documented it. So tomorrow, if I ate those 6 sea salt caramels and my left hip is so painful that I can barely make it to the bathroom again, guess what I learned? I learned that 6 sea salt caramels is too many for me to eat if I want to not have hip pain. So it's just to show you what is important to you. So 24 hours, write everything down. That's your challenge for today. Go out, make it an awesome, low pain day. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Doesn't always cooperate around here. That's the dilemma of living in a cold climate. We get all 4 seasons. But go out, make it an awesome day, and I will see you tomorrow with day 17. Get excited about killing your chronic pain. I sure am.